At the amusement park, both 2B and 9S are tasked with finding the missing androids. As we approach the front gate, this is what happens.
What are those? What the?
Wow, this is weird.
Let's be happy together, together, together.
As you can see, the machines in this area actually aren't hostile unless you attack them, which on my first playthrough, I completely didn't notice and started killing them anyway. But we heard about something like this before from 9S.
According to our intel, none of the machines in this area are hostile. We've been seeing more and more enemies like this lately. They just stand there and stare into space. It's pretty weird.
Although their behavior is similar, these machines are actually quite unique. They're not just standing around mindlessly doing nothing, but instead they're parading around the place. They're chanting about happiness, peace, and love. By now I'm sure you've noticed that all these machines are actually dressed to look like clowns, which isn't a coincidence seeing as clowns are basically the icon for happiness and joy. That is to people that aren't completely afraid of them. A small detail you might have missed is on the statue in the middle of the courtyard where you see the machine with the bunny ears, it actually has a trumpet, and on either side of the trumpet there's this little sash with a heart symbol. Now this reinforces the theme of them preaching about love and happiness, but also the heart means something else that we'll get into a little later. As we move further into the park, we find more and more non-hostile machines, some of which even offer us gifts for absolutely no reason at all. It isn't until we get further into the park that we see our first real enemies. We meet a clown machine that tells us it's dangerous past this point, that there are broken machines ahead. When we finally continue up, there's an enemy that I'm going to refer to as the clown tank.
We'll regret it later if we let them escape. So let's take them out.
9S insists that this balloon and confetti shooting tank is dangerous, but if you don't attack it, it's actually not hostile. In the end, I decided not to kill it.
Do you really think it's a good idea to leave that tank behind?
If they aren't hostile, fighting them is a waste of time.
After that, 2B and 9S board the roller coaster and ride it until they finally reach the opera house. This is Simone, also known as the opera singer. We can tell from her appearance that she's taken a red fabric to mimic a dress and garnished it with the bodies of the missing androids we're looking for. Her description reads: a Goliath-class machine lifeform. Modeled after an opera singer, this unit attacked foes using the repurposed bodies of living androids. Obsessed with a certain other machine lifeform, she put great thought into her appearance, even going so far as to cannibalize her own kind. Alas, such garish decorations only ended up being a spectacular display of poor taste. Her search for beauty eventually led to her demise when she attacked 2B and 9S. After a long, grueling fight, Simone finally retreats and attempts to hack both 2B and 9S.
2B!
Beautiful, beautiful.
look like corpses.
These are the rest of the missing Yorha android units. You'll notice they're bound and their skin is missing. Presumably through hacking, Simone has managed to capture control of them.
Seriously being attacked with dead androids?
Wait, I don't think... 2B! I'm detecting black box signals. They aren't dead. They've been turned into weapons.
Alright, this ends now.
Listen closely to what Simone says. When the machine's dress catches on fire, it screams in agony and pleads for help. This next clip might be laughing or crying, I can't tell. This is Simone's final form. In a last-ditch effort, she bursts the 4 hidden mechanical legs she had underneath her plated dress, and a smaller, extension type of machine comes out the bottom of the robot. During this sequence, she keeps repeating something, but I can't really understand what it means, so discuss that in the comments. When you finally do kill her, this happens.
Pod!
Affirmative.
Go!
I'm sorry, 2B. Their circuits are fried. I think they were only being kept alive by that enemy.
Oh. What is it?
That machine had some pretty weird things to say, huh? It's almost like it had actual emotion.
The machines don't have feelings. You said that yourself.
Yeah, I guess.
Right before the machine explodes, we catch a glimpse of this picture. On its own, it seems like there's little context, but we do know from her description that there was another machine lifeform that she was obsessed with. Now, if you explore the back of the Opera House, there's actually an elevator that takes you into the basement, and once you get down there, you see this. It appears to be some sort of mass burial site for both machines and androids alike, and at the very back of the room, there's this huge monument made of TVs that are all plugged in and turned on. If I were to guess, these are more victims of Simone, but we'll get back to that place later. Over in Pascal's village, there's a very curious machine that seems to be enthralled with the idea of existentialism. This machine is appropriately named Jean-Paul, and is an obvious reference to Jean-Paul Sartre, who is one of the poster boys for existentialism. Now, there's a lot to unpack about this character, but for the sake of the length of this video, I'm going to just focus on the immediate correlation this has to the story. In the same village, we come across one of Jean-Paul's devout followers. It's a female robot who regards him as a genius. She mentions writing him a letter asking him for guidance and asks us if we could deliver it for her. But before we leave, we learn of 2 other followers of Jean-Paul spread across the land that this robot considers her rivals. When we finally do deliver the letter, Jean-Paul doesn't care. He casts the letter aside and sees no reason in responding to it. After that, he spews some philosophy and we return to the previous machine. She takes it well, to say the least. Anyway, the 2 other followers also ask you to deliver gifts to Jean-Paul, and he continues to regard these gifts as junk and rejects them. Yet, this only makes his followers more happy. Now, this is important because we already know of another that was obsessed with a particular machine and went out of her way to get his attention. This cutscene is added onto your second playthrough on the way to the carnival.
They were found by the machines. The machines called them treasures. Each treasure had a different shape. Each treasure had a different shape.
Now, the hard imagery we've seen before in a number of places, but this next cutscene confirms that the machine with the heart-shaped treasure is in fact Simone.
Each of the machines treated their treasures with great care. One treasured family above all else. Another treasured its older sibling. Another treasured its own beauty.
And stop right there. I think that's sufficient evidence to assume that that's Simone. These next cutscenes are added onto the boss battle during your second playthrough. And that is the tragic story of Simone. I can't help but feel these gifts that the machines have are them trying to understand emotions. What Simone wanted was love, and she thought she would get that through beauty. Watch her reaction when 9S shows 2B affection.
Beautiful, beautiful. I must be beautiful.
Even after all that, it's still not over. These are the three followers that we know of Jean-Paul. Machine with makeup, machine in love, and machine with a dream. These three machines are madly in love with him, yet they will never receive his love back, therefore history is doomed to repeat itself. I got the idea from looking at Machine with makeup. As you can see, she painted on a face, and on her left hand she has a large gem. This machine is desperately trying to be beautiful, much like someone else. And I have no doubt that if they continue down this path, they'll end up exactly the same way Simone did. These machines are trying desperately hard to understand their emotions, whether it's achieving happiness through parading, or joy through playing. Even Jean-Paul, in the end, would eventually depart on a journey to learn the truth of the world and was never heard from again. Perhaps because he thought the truth would be discovered through philosophy. But philosophy is a school of thought that doesn't necessarily give answers, but rise to more questions, doomed to never get the answers he seeks. In the end, I can't help but feel bad for Simone. I revisited the basement and I thought, what if Simone stayed in this dark place surrounded by the corpses of androids and machines alike? What if she looked at these TVs and researched the old world for what would make her beautiful?